Hello, thanks for visiting Compressed Dreams. Today we're going to go over something that you've probably seen 100 times on the internet, but it's worth putting it together as one. We're going to go ahead, this is a 01 or second gen Ram 2500 with a Cummins engine. They're notorious for having front end issues, death wobbles, you name it. When this one was parked about 6 years ago, it had a horrible wobble, as they call the death wobble to it. Ball joints look good, so that kind of leads back to the track bar and the steering. Because of the way the steering's designed on this, there's a lot of other solutions out there that are a lot better now. We're going to upgrade this one to either the Gen 3 or the Gen 4, this bar, and as well the track bar. However, the track bar is actually an eBay special. I won't even lie to you. It's first time using this brand. I will say that I wasn't that impressed with the ad versus what I got, but at the same time we're going to give it a try and see how it holds up. It's less than $240 or something like that delivered, so it's not a very expensive one, but we'll go through it. It has the updated bracket and all. So we're going to take this steering system off. This is the factory setup. Obviously it's probably had tie rods and stuff put on it at some point in time. And then we're going to take this track bar. This is a Moog track bar. It did last about 20,000 miles, but that's about as much as they seem to last for me anyway. So we're going to upgrade this bar from something like this. And don't know if you'll see this, but God, something like this. It's hard to see it. I'll get it on the ground where you can see it, but they're substantially different in size. There's plenty of videos on the internet already and on YouTube that already show this particular conversion. However, there's not a lot of them that show the eBay specials, the brackets, and the tubes for the adjustable track bar. So we're going to give it a shot, see how it works out. It's supposed to be a 300 wall tubing. However, it is not. It's around 210 thousandths. I'm going to put it together and give it a try. I was actually going to send it back, but realistically, I think it's going to be fine for what it is. But we're going to give it a try, and if it doesn't hold, then we'll know that not to use these anymore, and I'll update the video as we go along. So one of the things I do, sorry the lighting's terrible in here today, is I just loosen the nut up, okay, there, and there. Now I've already broke these loose, obviously, so I'm not reusing this, so you can slap it on the top, or you can heat it a little bit and pop it on the side and she'll pop right out. This one I did use a fork on. If I can find it, there it is. I did use a fork to knock that one loose. So I'm going to pull that out, and then we're going to drop the track bar. If you see the ratchet strap across, what that's going to do is, since I don't have any pressure on the front end, I'm hoping it's going to hold it somewhat in place for me to put the track bar in. With these sitting next to each other now, you should be able to tell a little bit of the difference between the designs. This is the original one. You can tell by the dimensions of it here. And this hook from one side, and then it hooks into the steering bar. Whereas the updated one, it's going to go from wheel to wheel, and then the steering back. This is a lot heavier duty design. It's already got the shock mount and everything on it. You might have to do some modifications to it. What I try to do with these is I'd go ahead and line my ends up the best I can. The truck was somewhat in alignment, so I'll make my adjustments the best I can now and on the ground. And when I stick it in there, won't a lot change. Moving on to removing the factory track bar, we have this one bolt here. Okay. And then we have the nut up here. I'm going to get a light so you can see that better. 8 out of 10 times I have to heat this area right here and then smack it with a hammer and it falls out. We'll see if that's the case again on this one. Alright, did not have to heat this one this time. I just popped it a couple of times, it came off. That could be good or bad. There's probably a bit of tension still under this. Actually, it wasn't bad. That's what it looks like when it comes off. Now this end, on this particular track bar, let's see if I can get it in the camera here, is repairable. You can change the ends on it. So I'm not throwing it away, but I am going to hold on to it So here is how the kit comes in when it's ordered, and you can see there's multiple pieces, a bracket, the bolts, etc. And then it comes with a digital copy of about 20 pages of things to do. To break it down simple, the bracket's going to relocate where the track bar connects. So that's really what makes a big difference here. Instead of it having a ball joint end on it, it just has bushings and some adjustments in between it. So the bracket's really the key part. Everything else is pretty simple to install. This one, however, requires you to drill this hole out to a 3/4 inch all the way through the back side of the chassis, which is not a hole there. It requires you to mount the brackets in here with a bushing after you get all this cleaned off. And it also requires two 5/16 inch holes on here. Now it does all this, sorry about the mess here, with this bracket, which will help align and get your holes squared and things like that. Alright, as you can see, this hole here, beneath the ground strap, is one we're going to have to drill out, and then we have to drill all the way through the back side. It says to drill it to a 3/4, however, I don't have a 3/4 drill bit. I have 3/4 hole saws, but that's not going to work for this. So I do have a long shank 5/8 drill bit, which I'm going to take and remount this hole. And I'm just going to make sure there's nothing inside this frame that I'm going to hit. I'm going to take the drill bit and run it straight through. Now, really want to focus on keeping the drill bit straight and level through this whole process. Now what I'm doing is I'm actually just marking the back side. I'm not going to drill it like this. Now we have the 5/8 hole all the way through the other side. What I do is, because I don't have a 3/4, I'm just going to take a step bit here and rapid tap it. This is my go-to for any kind of cutting fluid or any tapping. It just seems to work really good. Go ahead and lubricate the steps on your step bit, and you want to open it up to 3/4. Now you can put you a mark on it, or you can count it, or you can check it every so often, however works best for you. Helps if you tighten the tuck up first. This next step is this is the back of the cross member here, okay? We're going to remove the bolt out of the brake line, and you're going to deflect the brake line out of the way. Deflect, not bend. And if you don't know the difference between deflection and bending, means you've deflected too far. So just deflect it out of the way and have to get the bracket in there. And I don't think that bolt will be reinstalled, but we'll check back on that later. Alright, so our next step is take this bushing, and it says put a little grease or something on it and stick it up in here, and the grease will hold it. I didn't put a lot of grease on it, but we'll see. Now, there is a washer that goes between here and the bracket, depending on the thickness of this weld. So I guess they accounted for people who don't know how to weld that well. So you're kind of going to have to set the bracket up there and determine which thickness it is based on what I can tell. Next, we're going to set the bracket in here. We're going to put the first mount on the back, and then we're going to put the bushing in on the front where the hole we drew 3/4 at. I kind of got you at a bottom view here, but you should get an idea of what I'm trying to do. We're going to go ahead and loosely put the bracket on. I did stick the bushing in here. This is the 3/4 hole we drilled out. I don't know if you can even see that. Right there. We're going to be using this fastener, the bracket, the square washer, a lock nut, a flat washer, and a lock washer, according to the instructions. The instructions are, they leave a little bit to be desired, if you ask me. But either way, if you got some basic mechanical knowledge, you'll understand how it goes together. I am assuming that the square washer goes underneath it. But a lot of that's going to depend on how this thing mounts up, I'm assuming. Oh, that ain't right. According to this one, square washer goes on this side of the bolt. There will be some trial and error to get this. And you guys are seeing this for the first time I've seen it. I didn't study the instructions or anything. I'm just kind of going off what was given to me. Alright, so you get it on there. You're just going to stick all this on loosely, because if I remember right, every bit of it's got to come right back off again. So just stick it on there for the time being. Start a couple threads. You just want to know if you can hold it in place to drill the bracket out on the back side. Alright. That piece is done. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it lined up. And you can't see it yet, but I'll reposition the camera. We're going to get it lined up where we can drill the holes on the back side of the cross member. Alright, I don't know that you can get a clear picture of this because the camera's not really wanting to zoom. But right here is what we're working on, this face. So this one's far enough off. I'm going to take both washers. So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stick both washers in on top of this bracket. And I'm going to put the flat washer on top. I'm going to see if I can show you this. See the bolts there? The factory one you put back in, and then you're going to mark that hole and drill a 5/16 all the way through. However, this thing's in a lot of bind. You can see I had to put, bear with me. You see I had to put a clamp on it just to get it to line up. It's under a lot of pressure, so I'm going to mess around with it a little bit, see if I can get that straightened out the way it should be. It should be where the hole goes. I'm going to go ahead and drill the 5/16 hole all the way through that cross member, put the bolt in it, and then work on putting more washers or something on this side to square the bracket up. Probably won't see any of that on camera, but I wanted to give you an idea what I'm doing. Give you an update on this. I couldn't really do much on video. But what you do with these is you drill a 5/16 in from the back side, and then you drill a 1/2 inch in from this side and put a little bit of a taper on them so you can drive them in there. And what I use is a little reaming tool. Just open it up just a little bit. This bolt's a butt to get in because I had the Borgeson shaft on mine. So you can see there's not a lot of clearance up there to get that bolt in there, but it will go in there. You have these little wedges that go on each side just to keep it straight. So you go ahead and get these started, get that one started, all of them started. And what we're going to do now is we're going to tighten these things down. This one's a little crooked, but 240 foot-pounds on this one, 30, 20, I think, and then another 30 here. Again, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 as far as the torque sequence goes. After that, we'll start putting the track bar actually in itself. Need to go ahead and measure the center of the ball style joint versus, or the helm joint versus, or the hem joint versus the ball joint. And what we're trying to do is get a rough measurement for the next one. Now, since we've changed it, it's not going to be 100% accurate. We're going to take this number, which is around 39 inches, and we're going to add 1.5 inches to it, I believe is what the instructions said. So that should take us around 40 and a half, if my math is correct here. Actually, let me measure to the base, not the end of it. The base is where it sits. So 38 inches. So let's do 39 and a half. All right, what I like to do is take the ends and just put a little anti-seize on it. It doesn't take a lot. I mean, this is an abnormal amount. Some people might want to put Loctite on it. I prefer just put anti-seize on it. Now we're just going to thread the two halves together to start. Make sure the nut's on there all the way. And depending on the lift will determine how far you need to move this. So like I said, that measurement we had is not really that accurate because it does have a little lift on it. Looks like the lights here is going to be terrible when the sun's coming in. Factory bolt way back here. I did add the 1.5 inches to it. Looks like this one's going to need a little bit more. Reason. Because the suspension's not loaded, it was hitting the spring pack over here, or the bracket from the gusset. Just knocked some of the rust off of it and it works. So this one's got to come out just a little bit more. Oh, that's close. I think there's a bolt in my pocket. This is the only company I've ever seen. I think they sent the wrong size bolt. Unless this one goes here. Nope. So, companies hit the wrong size bolt. How wonderful. Either way, I probably got something to work. So, to be honest, it seems to be okay. I would not recommend this kit. The instructions are just not even close to par. They could have done quite a few things different with the part numbers and everything else. In my opinion, it seems to be decent made. It's going to have some wobble in it. I'm not sure of the life cycle of this. We'll see once I get it tightened down and torqued up, and then we'll take it for a test ride. But as of right now, I would definitely recommend the higher dollar kits. Thank you. Going to try to finish this video out here. As you can tell, I did put the new steering arm in, or new steering bars in. Tie rod ends. Goodness gracious, can't speak today. Pretty simple. Just set it up in there, tighten her down. There ain't a lot to it. It does have to be aligned. It's not, to put a tape measure on, it's not far off. I was able to hook up the factory steering stabilizer. I still got to check it from side to side, make sure there's clearance, and we got to get the track bar adjusted. So, thanks for watching.